I mean, this one has the left blinker on. It wants to turn over way more than any of these other ones, which is quite interesting. We know it's not lie angled dynamically, still slightly toe down like all the other ones have been, but just always this left shape to it. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are breaking down the best hollow body irons of the season of 2024. This category has become probably the most popular amongst the golfers that come into our studios for a few different reasons. I think the performance that's coming out of an iron that has the characteristics of one of these hollow bodies, they have looks, they have performance, they have feel. There's so much more you can do it with this sort of perimeter weighting and this sort of hollowness of the inside that manufacturers are able to kind of pull the levers that they want to from an engineering standpoint, put mass and whether it's speed foam and TaylorMade cases or whatever type of, urethane microspheres and Callaways, whatever it is to create a feel performance story, there are a story or a narrative from every single company of that similar nature. So we're going to run through 5 of the top ones today. We've got TaylorMade P770, we've got MIZUNO 245, we've got the TITLEIST T200, we've got the PXG 0317T, a sleeper and one that I think it's forgotten a little bit in this category. And then one of the ones that we've recently tested on the channel that we couldn't believe the performance from was the Apex Thai Fusion. So 5 irons, and there's obviously, as there always is, there's going to be others, but we want to focus the data in on 5 that we can get some quality data from that ultimately will help you guys decide which one has the highest launch, which one has the most spin, which one has the clickiest feel and sound perhaps, what it is about all of these different irons that makes them unique from your standpoint. So we'll hit a load of shots with each one, and let's see which ones come out sort of on top with the best playing characteristics. All right, guys, from a standardization standpoint, with all these tests, we do like to limit the variables so that the only thing that we are testing in a variable sense is the head itself. The shaft we've got today, Oban 115 stiff. The golf ball we're going to use today, Pro V1X, the 2023 version. Standard length, standard grip size, 28 degrees aloft, 64 in the lie. The only thing that will change throughout this whole test is going to be truly the club head itself. So we're going to start in alphabetical order. We're going to head in with the Thai Fusion, the Callaway Thai Fusion. We've been using this hole for most of the tests we've been doing, the iron tests at this year. Gives us about 185, slightly uphill, so it'll play a little bit longer, but a really good hole that requires a really good struck 6 iron. I kind of, to be honest, I fought myself a little bit on whether to pick this one or not. Maybe go AI 200 versus Thai Fusion. But I think when it comes down to the playing characteristics, this is one that we're getting more questions about than AI 200 at this point. AI 200 is an evolution of the Apex iron anyway, and one that I think maybe falls into a slightly different category, albeit now it falls into the hollow body bracket, but I think Thai Fusion is a better fit for this particular test. So it does come at a higher price point. There's going to be some people who are maybe not so happy that we're including it because of its price point, but there's going to be enough people that are interested in it, and rightly so, because it is an incredible performer. So hanging on. Guys, we're trying to be very specific about the shots, the data, the quality of the data. You'll see we're keeping club head speed within a range. We're keeping lateral miss within a range. We've actually, within the green today, we're not aiming at the flag as we normally would. The flag's tucked on the left-hand side. We've used this green a bunch of times for testing on the channel, but we're aiming ourselves right down the middle. So We're going to see a range with all of these clubs, and they're going to come out quite similar. We want that. You know, the fluctuations in someone's club head speed and testing my club head speed, we've seen that when I warm up between the first club to maybe the last club I hit. I'm more loose, and my club head speed can maybe go from 90 to 94, 95. We need to standardize that for you guys so that this data is kind of more high quality, so you can, again, truly see what it is that's different about the head. It's a good one. It's a great feeling iron, the Thai Fusion. It really is. I could play these in a heartbeat. I feel like it's kind of an iron set I'd pull out if my game was maybe just, if I was struggling a bit with it and I needed a little bit more punch from my distance or ball striking or ball speed, I could really lean on an iron like this. One thing I would notice, I thought when bending it to spec, it would be quite a tough chassis to bend. It was actually really, really soft, which again, back to the point about sort of how good the feel is. I think they've actually engineered an incredible amount of suppleness to the material that allows you to bend it, which is a huge thing for us as fitters. And it obviously, from a feedback perspective, it's a really, really good thing as well. All right, on to the next. Okay, guys, we're moving on. Mizuno Pro 245s. We try to keep bias out of these tests as much as we possibly can. This is going to be hard. I play a combo set of the Mizuno 245, 243s. I absolutely love this 245 iron. Even as I sit that down, like, that is exactly how a hollow body should look, and in the shapes and dimensions. You know, for the way that HMB started when they first launched this hollow body category from Mizuno, I remember what I said about it all those years ago. I wish they would make it 25% smaller. I love it, love the shapes, I love the offset profile, I love everything. I just wish they'd make it smaller. That's what this is now. And with the development of the materials, the chromoly, the internal structure of the weighting and where they've got the tungsten, it's more forgiving than that older, bigger model, but it now comes in this package that, to be honest, I don't think you'd upset anyone playing an iron that looked this good, so at any level of the game. So this is, I think it's a special one. Bit toy, but a nice performer. Probably going to lose a little bit of speed. Important to know that we do not always hit the ball. I do not always hit the ball in the middle of the club. I mean, that's a fairly substantial miss hit. 10 millimeters out in the toe is probably out in this territory, somewhere kind of out here. And that's dealt with that incredibly well. It's, just 4 yards offline. 180, 182 is about where the ball's been traveling to. So just lost a little bit of distance, but actually didn't lose any in terms of the total. I mean, it's pretty much still performing like a centered contact on a bit of a stinky miss hit there. I love the sound of these things. I'm always curious how that transfers through to the audio that you guys get, but the sound off of these is some of my favorite off of any irons. Okay, good little set from the Mizuno. No surprises for me. That felt easy to hit. It's exactly what I would find why I carry them as the 4 and 5 iron in my own bag. Okay, guys, one that does not get talked about nearly enough, the PXG 0317T. For my eye, this is probably the most player-shaped hollow body out of all of the ones we're going to test today. It has what looks like the thinnest top line. It has a little bit more of a shorter toe to heel profile. It looks fantastic. It really does. Not much offset going on at all. I'm hugely impressed with these irons in terms of looks. I have tested them before, and how they stack up in this test, I don't know, but this is an iron that does not get nearly enough love. It feels so good. It really does. Obviously, golf ball of choice was important today because playing these irons at 28 degrees aloft, as they all are, We want to make sure we've got sort of that right balance of good speed, good launch, good spin. And I think you're seeing with all of these irons, they all retain really, really good amounts of spin. There's no issue with any of these kind of like knuckling or being inconsistent in its distance control. I think that has been the biggest evolution of the hollow body iron is, sure, you can create a thin structure that can have some compliance when it comes to ball speed, but it's going to be one-dimensional in that you're going to get these just shooters that are, you know, going like a bat out of hell when you hit them out of the rough with no spin when friction's reduced. So that's no good. You know, it's not. The irons in your bag are there to perform a role, which is to go a specific distance at a specific trajectory, and you adjust as you go throughout your round. But you need that consistency of spin. That's the most important thing when you're iron set, guys, is the consistency of spin is ever present, and that standard deviation is super tight so that you don't get any surprises. That's the number one thing. You don't want to have one that goes 187, one that goes 177, and you're like, well, they felt the same to me, and you can't put your finger on exactly what happened. So these irons so far are doing an unbelievable job at that. We will hit that one. Pretty good. Yep, felt good. That one was perfect because it was slow, but struck well. So it still went. Okay, guys, we're in the home stretch. We've got the second last test, TaylorMade P770, a staple in the TaylorMade P series family now, the little brother to the P790, the one of the ones that started this hollow body category a few years ago. This one is a favorite for lots of players. I've actually seen lots of them popping up in people's long irons in the TaylorMade staff as well. So expect to see this one kind of perform as the other ones have. Oh, good. The flag is not the target, but it was a pretty good one for that swing. It was really quick off the face, this one. We're talking off camera, guys. I mean, this one has the left blinker on. It wants to turn over way more than any of these other ones, which is quite interesting. I love that irons have that amount of difference, whether everybody finds this, you know, or whatever the case may be. We know it's not lie angle dynamically, still slightly toe down like all the other ones have been, but it's just always this left shape to it. That felt nice. Okay, guys, an interesting set to say the least. If we just hang around for every shot to look the same, there's no value in these tests. Bearing in mind this is what a club does with my swing. Might do something totally different for you, but for me, this had a lot of curvature to it. Like, it was very easy to get this one turning over. And as a bit of a result, and I need to have a look at the angle of attack and the dynamic loft as well, just to see why the spin rate is that much lower. But this one kind of lives like 400 RPMs lower in spin than some of these other ones. So the P770 was doing something totally different for me than the other irons, which off camera we were talking about there. One of the boys said, if they all performed the same, what would be the point? It's exactly the case. there should be something in this for everyone, knowing that an iron like P770 just wants to turn over a little bit. It's very easy to get that toe to roll a little bit more close. So, okay, last but not least, Titleist T200. One thing I would say about the T200, maybe in the not so positive side, is I couldn't bend it. I tried to bend it in our bending machine to get it a little bit more upright. I'd expect this one to be the most toe down. I couldn't get it upright. The chassis was too firm. So I didn't want to, it was our demo club. It has to be used tomorrow in fittings for clients who are maybe traveling in from out of town or hundreds of miles, wherever they're coming from. I couldn't put the amount of pressure that I would have needed to bend this. That's not something I personally look for in irons that I really like. Now, in the factory, in our workshop, we do get a couple of degrees out of them, but this one is the firmest body by far of all the ones we've tested today. Guys, we might see a little bit of that right bias with this one because technically the lie angle is flatter than the other ones. It's not going to be as easy to turn this one over, but I love the flight on that one. Good swing. That felt really nice. As good as I can hit it right there, guys. That last one was a bit slow. It was good, but it was a bit slow, but still went the right distance. Okay, guys, interesting little test. 5 great irons. I think they've all proven themselves that they all have their own attributes and their own sort of merits as to why they could go in any golfer's bag as long as it's fitted correctly. So starting with the Callaway, see what we got. So trying to kind of keep around that 90 miles an hour club head speed, we're just going to see a nice little push draw. So path to the right, face left of the path, really exactly what we'd want. Great efficiency, pretty good on launch, but retaining the spin. So 182 out of 90 miles an hour club head speed is good carry. Obviously that's factoring in a little bit of the uphill here, but really, really quite good. Iron number 2 was my personal favorite, the Mizuno 245s. I thought those were fantastic. Let's see, club head speed, similar strike. So interestingly, didn't quite give us as much ball speed. We were the same for club head speed, but efficiency went down. That tells us the ball speed went down slightly. Yep, 1.3 miles an hour, not a lot, but kept a similar launch angle, hair low, kept actually slightly more spin, but standard deviation was a little higher. Very, very good. Really, really impressed with that. And arguably the 2 ones I struck the worst out on the toe. Those 2 irons were 2 of from my own feedback, having hit them, I loved both of those, but ironically hit them slightly worse. Let's go into the PXG. Thought I hit that one well. 90 miles an hour, similar efficiency to the Mizuno. So we'll bring the others back up. It was 137, so it doesn't quite have the speed of the Thai Fusion. A little bit less dynamic loft. The best strike out of the ones so far. Again, path, right, face, also right, but with a little bit less, so we get the draw. Let's see what we got from the numbers. Launch angle came down, spin rate was retained. Yeah, really, really like that. Now we're starting to see some differences though. If we take 2 irons and we look at their own merits, we can start to see a degree or so of launch difference, a little bit of a speed difference. Then we start changing apex windows. Those are good signs that there's irons out there that will do different stuff. This was the wild card. I mean, this thing was like a one-legged duck. It just wanted to go, one direction every single time. It wanted to go left, and there wasn't much I could do about it, to be honest. I was really fighting it hard to try and keep it online. Face was the most left relative to the path, was very, very similar. We go to all the clubs so far. Again, that's in these tests, we try to standardize path and angle of attack as much as we can. Face is not going to be as much in our control as the other two. And this one obviously went a little bit more left. But in terms of the launch and spin characteristics, launch was really good and high. Spin was quite a bit less. So relative to what we had seen before, at roughly about 500 RPMs less. How much of that was down to dynamic loft? Not a lot. Dynamic loft was actually exactly the same as the PXG. So for the dynamic loft to be the same, but 500 RPMs different, that's a different performing iron. That's its own set of attributes to it. For somebody who has a bit of a miss to the right, or somebody who struggles with the open face, that's going to be a really, really good thing. And last but not least, we have the Titleist T200. It has definitely a higher pitch to the sound. It has a pretty high launch, which it really does. If we look at the launch angle of all of them, it was the second highest launch angle, but the spin was down a little bit. Angle attack was a bit shallower, dynamic loft. So there's a little bit of the spin in the delivery. So we weren't quite as steep as we were with some of the earlier ones. But we're talking, I mean, less than a degree. It's literally less than half a degree. So that one, I would say center of gravity wise, P770 and T200, you're going to have a lower center of gravity than the other ones. That's, for me, where this higher launch but lower spin is truly coming from. And as we go to it, not that distance is really that relevant to these things, but all within 4 yards of one another. Standard deviation was best on TaylorMade and PXG. Spin, the winner in standard deviation was the Callaway Fusion. Well, guys, I mean, I don't think there's such a thing as a winner. I think, if I had Mikey to my right, I used to always put him on the spot and say, okay, put them on a podium, give me the bronze, the silver, and the gold medalists. I think if I was to pick the ones that were best for me, I would say Callaway Fusion was exceptional. That one was ball speed-wise, launch spin, very neutral flight bias, kind of was very comfortably staying just right at the target line with a tad of a draw. I really, really liked the Mizuno as well. And I really enjoyed that PXG. I think for me, this is where, albeit the PXG kind of standard deviation was a tad higher, I really did enjoy how that iron flew, felt, and the performance was really quite good as well. Top three for me, guys, in, no particular order, right? So I think it's fair to say they all performed really, really well. Price point-wise is going to be against the Callaway to a degree. We know that's a big thing for you guys when making your buying decisions, but performance is hard to argue with that Fusion. If you haven't seen the review that we've done on that iron alone, go back and watch it. When we hit the short irons, the mid irons, the long irons, it was one of the most memorable tests that certainly I've done in a long time. We get irons from everyone. We get sets sent to us all the time. That was one sort of test I won't forget because of how good they felt and how good they performed. So really, really, really impressive to see that what comes with a higher price point arguably comes with a higher performance package at the same time. Ultimately, that's what you guys want. You can invest in something and you want it to be the best it can. Well, there's that option out there. So all 5 irons incredible. 3 that I feel are the pick of the bunch for me right there on the screen. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your comments below. What do you love in the hollow body category? Is this something that's attractive to you, that you can have an iron that looks like a blade? From a distance, and I'm not talking 20 paces, I'm talking 3 or 4 yards, you can look in someone's bag and go, Jesus, a player, they're playing a nice set of blades. It's this modern hollow body player's iron. It's packed with performance, still gives you all the forgiveness of a cavity back, but it just comes in a little bit of a condensed package. So let me know what you guys think. What are you playing? What have you enjoyed? What have you not enjoyed? Let me know in the comments below. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you again soon.